St. John of the Cross. He was a celebrated 16th century Spanish mystic, poet, religious reformer, around whom many legends arose. And one story tells of a time that St. John was sitting alone in his room, engaged in fervent prayer. And then suddenly, as a result of these prayers, he experienced a rapturous vision of Mary, the mother of Jesus. But at that very same moment that the image was materializing, John heard a beggar rattling at the door, asking for assistance. He wrenched himself out of his rapture, greeted the beggar, and saw to the poor man's needs. And when John returned to his room and to his prayers, the vision returned again. And at the very moment that you heard the door rattle on its hinges, Mary said to him, your soul hung in a perilous balance. Had you not gone to the beggar's aid, I would never have appeared to you again. Stories emphasizing the connection between our spirituality and the practical service that we can and should render to others. Such stories are commonplace in many of the world's religions. For instance, Buddhist iconography typically portrays the Buddha and the various bodhisattvas sitting serenely in meditation. But that same tradition's popular Jataka legends focus on compassion and the many occasions on which the Buddha sacrificed his own interests to relieve the suffering of other beings, human or otherwise. Among the paramitas, Buddhism's guidelines for ethical living is one called dana, which translates simply as giving or generosity. Likewise, in Islam, the fourth of that religion's 5 pillars is zakat, which means concern for the poor and the unfortunate. It is every Muslim's solemn obligation to render assistance to those in need, either monetarily or through direct service. Karma yoga serves much the same purpose in Hinduism. And for that ancient Chinese philosopher Kung Fu Tzu, better known as Confucius, the practice of sensible, positive, kind behavior, service to others, is a precondition both for personal happiness and for a healthy and harmonious society. The second principle of our own Unitarian Universalist tradition echoes all of the foregoing. If we take our faith seriously as Unitarian Universalists, we will actively seek to promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. It should be one of our regular spiritual practices. And for inspiration and guidance in this regard, we need only consult the distinguished record of service rendered by past generations of Unitarians and Universalists. Clara Barton, founder of the American Red Cross. Jane Addams, the foremother of the modern social work movement. Dorothea Dix, who fought for and accomplished much in the field of prison reform. Samuel Gridley Howe, who spent his life improving conditions for those afflicted with blindness, to name just a few of the more notable figures. Now, we often suppose that spirituality has to do with our private devotions, our meditative practices. Perhaps to us it means sitting quietly on our cushion, or taking a solitary walk in the woods, sipping tea while reading inspiring poetry, exploring profound personal questions with a mentor or a good friend, making or listening to sacred music. And no doubt all of these various activities fall within the scope of the spiritual, but they represent only half of the occasion. Many have likened a balanced and fully integrated spiritual life to the process of respiration, of breathing, to that indissoluble connection between the in-breath and the out-breath. And so when we engage in contemplative practices, we are fortifying our own spirits. We are breathing in, as it were. And when we re-enter the world, it is with the intention of sharing some of that good energy with those who really need it. And that's the out-breath. And just as we cannot survive physically apart from the full cycle of respiration, so is our spiritual health impaired if we only attend to a single facet of that breathing cycle. Service all by itself can lead to this discouragement and to burnout, but tending only to our own spiritual needs causes us perhaps to become indifferent and callous to the needs of others. And so ultimately, we will feel a good deal better about ourselves and our world when we fall into this rhythm of compassion, and begin to move easily between care for ourselves and care for others. Many years ago, Mahatma Gandhi pointed out that even as we serve others, we are at the same time working on ourselves, that every act, every word, every gesture of genuine compassion naturally nourishes our own hearts as well. It's not a question, therefore, of who is healed first. When we attend to ourselves with compassion and mercy, more healing becomes available to others. And when we serve others with an open and generous heart, great healing comes to us as well, Gandhi taught. And so today, this morning, we gather to practice the out-breath, to serve the people, the planet, and our own faith community in some small and yet, we hope, significant way. And in closing, then, I would offer these words from the 2nd century Rabbi Ben Hai. Effort is its own reward, he wrote. We are here to do, and through doing to learn, and through learning to know, and through knowing to experience wonder, and through wonder to attain wisdom, through wisdom to find simplicity, through simplicity to give attention, and through attention to see what needs to be done.